the way you're explaining this sounds so simple, and I think the holdup for a lot of agents is like the technology end of it. It just sounds too complicated. So they're like, I don't want anything to do with it. But the way you're describing this, it's more simple than doing it at home.
It's super simple. And so what I would say, if you're kind of on the fence because you think that the technological side is kind of too advanced or complicated, what I would suggest is go like in America or something and do an application on, I don't know, Joe Schmo, and then just get to the part where you send the HIPAA document. So you receive the email, like put your email in there, and then you can see what it looks like from a client's perspective. Now, you don't have to submit or initiate the underwriting, obviously, but that way you can see exactly what they see. And that's going to be the same exact email or the same email address. It's going to be the same access code. It's going to look exactly the same from that HIPAA document as it does at the very end of the application. So if you know what it's going to look like and how to get through it doing the HIPAA document, you're going to have no problem when it comes to the end and actually submitting it.
Awesome. Now let's talk about how you solidify the sale. So it gets in. Let's talk about two things. So it gets approved, and then we'll wrap up the sale. And then it doesn't get approved. How do you pivot on a telesale?
So so first it gets approved. So it gets approved, and so I tell them I never tell them that it's approved on the phone because God forbid something happens. It goes, every now and then you could get an application that says that it's approved and all of a sudden it's not. I don't want to run into any issues there. So I tell them it's going to take 1 to 2 weeks for them to decide. With this company in particular, let's say it's America, they've been coming back really, really fast with their decisions. So what you'll notice, like I said in the beginning, they're not going to take any money until you're actually approved. So if you wake up on Tuesday, Wednesday, and you see that money was withdrawn, that means you're approved. That's a good thing, okay? Then at that point, you can give them 10 to 14 business days to actually receive your policy in the mail. Unless they do the electronic, then it's just going to come via email. Delivery. So that's what I tell them, and then I just move right on. So give them 10 to 14 business days to actually receive your policy in the mail. Now I'm going to send you, when we get off the phone, a text message that's going to have my name. It's going to have what I do, the company that we went with, the face amount, and the policy number. I'm going to send that to you, okay? This is coming from my cell phone, my personal cell phone. So if you need anything at all in the future, feel free to reach out to me. You can call me. You can text me. Like I said, it's my personal phone, so you can reach me on the weekend. If I don't answer right away, I'll get right back to you. But that's it. So let me know as soon as I send this text that you actually got it, okay?
Okay.
All right, perfect. And then we hang up, and then I send the text, and then they usually just give me like a thumbs up or something.
Run through what you say about when you see the premium come out. That was so good.
Yeah, so I say.
So you don't post date any business.
No, post dating is the devil.
Okay, all right.
I don't post date.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So you always submit it on approval. So it's like policy effective date is the day it's approved. And you say, so it takes 1 to 2 weeks. Let me say this back to you. I want to see if I'm hearing this right. Okay. So it takes 1 to 2 weeks for the company to approve you. Now, if on Tuesday or Wednesday, and say this is a Sunday or a Monday, on Tuesday or Wednesday you see the money come out of your account, that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
That means you were approved.
You're approved.
That's so good.
Yeah, and then I just try to keep moving forward past that.
Do you get much pushback there? Are they like, yeah, sounds good. Dude, I can't wait to have this draft out of my account.
I've legitimately never had pushback on that.
That's crazy.
Whether this is in the field or whether it's over the phone, I say the same thing both ends.
That's so good. All right, now they get declined. How do we pivot?
Now they get declined. Before I tell them that they get declined, I'm pulling up. Let's say I'm doing America. They get declined because they're on PayMedge or whatever. Then I'm going through AMM and I'm putting their information in, and I tell them. I usually don't say you got declined. I put their information with AMM. I act like everything is just fine. And then when I submit it, I'm going to say, all right, so we put it with a couple different carriers, just trying to get you the best rate to make sure that you're going to get approved. And so if one company doesn't approve you and the other one does, so you get a letter in the mail saying you were declined, just ignore that. Don't worry about it. That's just something technical that happened on our end. But that just means that we're going with another carrier that got you a better rate or they got you approved or whatever. So something along those lines.
That's great. That is freaking good. All right, so that wraps up how you do telesales. Let's talk about, and that everything you said makes a ton of sense and why you're writing a lot of business. Let's talk about the do nots. What are some things that you do not want to say on a telesale in the beginning, middle, and end? Yeah, so
never ask. You never want them to tell you you never want to ask them what their budget is. How much are you trying to spend each month?
$12.
Because that's what you get. And everyone is always going to under budget themselves, and everybody always wants to get a lot for a little. And the reality of it is, and sometimes like you will get that, and then I usually laugh and I'm like, yeah, I wish I could get that too, And then like you just say something like, this is, you have to remember, this is real money these companies are giving out. So it's an actual $100,000 or it's an actual $30,000. Like, it's real money that can be used. No company on planet Earth is going to give you $100,000 for $12 a month. It doesn't matter if you're a 24-year-old. It's just not going to happen. Right. So, and like I said, everybody has that. Everybody wants a lot for a little, but it's just not going to. So avoid that. Don't ask them what their budget is. Another thing that's super important. It's important in home, and I think it's even more important on the phone. Is don't sound timid. Don't sound unsure. Because people have this expectation, or not an expectation, but a perception of things where if I'm not in person, I'm a little more weary of like scams and stuff. And if I'm talking to someone and you sound timid, like you're not confident in what you're doing, that just my warning light is going off in my head. And now when you get to the bank info, the social, I'm probably not going to give that to you because you sound weird on the phone, and now you're freaking me out. So I try not to freak people out, and just I want it to sound like I do this every day. You're one of 27 people I'm going to talk to today. Give me your information. This is not weird.
Business as usual.
Yeah, like you're being weird if you don't give it to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, you want the coverage or not? You know? So don't do that. So don't ask what their budget is. Don't ask for them to tell you what they want for coverage. Don't sound timid, and don't avoid telling them what's realistic. So if you do get someone that says, you know, they have major health issues or they're old or whatever, and they do say that I want this huge amount, don't be timid in telling them you can't get that. You can't get that. I wish that I could get a $60 million policy that I would, that you would pay for me, but it's just not going to happen because this is real money. And I always go back to that. This is a real money. People, and I tell them this: people people become unaware or detached from the monetary value that they're actually applying for. And you have to understand that this is an actual amount of money that a company is actually paying out. And if they give everyone that's 74 years old $330,000 worth of coverage, they would have been out of business like 12 years ago. So that's just something that they can't do. The reality of it is, and I'll say this, the reality of it is, Rob, you're 76 years old and no company in America is going to give you that amount of coverage. It just doesn't exist, So instead, what the company did, they came out with a product that is for people in your situation. And this is what most people in your situation do. Instead of looking at $330,000, which at 76 years old, if they were going to give you this, you're going to be paying about $6,000 a month for it. And that doesn't sound fun for anyone.
It doesn't sound fun.
So instead, fun. Right? So instead, they came out with this product. It's $30,000 or $25,000 or whatever it is. And this is still a real $30,000, a real $25,000, a real $20,000 that will pay out. There's no term. This is permanent. I promise you that your family is going to get more out of this than if you were to just put $120 away a month and then die in 4 years, right? This is a
100%.
real amount of money.